that time, another episode. Mo Mommies Mo Problems.
Hello, everybody. Hey to everyone tuning in with us. This is Mo Mommies Mo Problems, your podcast destination for all things motherhood. I am your host, Kalia Flowers, and I am doing my best, man. Our guest this evening is a beautiful person. She is a mommy. She is a grandma. She is fabulous. And she just so happens to be my auntie-in-law. Please help me in welcoming Denina Ross.
Hey.
Hey, girl. I'm going to put this down. Where do I put it? So how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. A little nervous.
Shake it out. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. I know it gets it's like a lot with all the lights.
Feel like I'm on TV.
Hello. I know when Darian was on, he had like a whole persona that clicked over where he was like, hey, who are you right now? What's going on here?
James Bond.
Yeah. Okay. So right here it says, what's one good thing that happened today for you? Just a little nugget of joy.
I woke up feeling a lot less stressed than I had been. So for me, that's good.
And why is that?
Was
it just the energy thing, or?
Yes. I don't know. I've made some changes in my life recently for the better, and it's just, I just feel the weight just
off of your shoulders.
Just coming off little by little. Still chipping away at things, but it's coming.
That's so good when you wake up in a good space, because some days I wake up and I'm like,
right?
I just, and I can't even explain it. It's just staying. Yeah, the same thing every day. Routines. Yes. The days kind of bleed into one another for sure. Yes. So it says right here, tell us a little bit about your mommy resume. So how many kids do you have? How old are they?
She's going to make me tell my age. I have 3 kids. My oldest son is 30. My daughter, my only daughter, my baby girl, she's 26. And my baby boy is 16.
Wow.
So, yes.
So that's some age gaps there.
Some age gaps, let me tell you.
Man.
And some different personalities, let me tell you. But yes, I love my babies. Yes.
So what was it like? Because the first two, the age gap is how many years?
The first two, there's only a 4-year difference.
Okay, 4-year difference.
4-year
so
difference.
It's the next two that are
right.
More spread out.
From my youngest to the oldest, there's a 14-year gap. And then my daughter to my youngest, there's a 10-year gap. So, yeah.
So every time you gave birth, you were kind of like starting over. What was that like?
It was exciting.
It was exciting?
I love babies. I actually love being pregnant. A lot of people are like, they look at me crazy. See?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
See? But I did. I loved it. Then I said, had I had the means and the right person by my side, I would have had more.
Yeah,
I did. I loved it.
You were like excited about like every single one of your pregnancies?
I was.
Wow, all the way through?
All the way through.
Yeah.
Even with the first one being so young, scared.
How old were you when you had the first one?
19.
19. Okay. 19. So that was about how old I was when I had my first one, too. I feel like that's an interesting age because you're coming out of high school and been out of high school for like a year or so.
Right.
But you're still like, everybody's looking at you like you're a baby. Right?
I was going to city college here. And I was, and
and it was total just like an accident, like oh snap.
What
are we gonna
in complete honesty, I was on birth control.
Yeah.
So everybody,
you heard it here. It's not always
use a backup. Okay. Double up.
Birth control. Keep it in control.
But I wouldn't change anything. And I remember the day that I found out I was pregnant. You remember? It was Jodeci. So you're having my baby. That song. I came out of Planned Parenthood.
No.
After just finding out, I turned my car on, and why was that song on?
Oh, that was the universe.
I started crying. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Crazy.
So you're 19. You just found out you were pregnant. Like, what did the rest of that look like for you? Like, did you tell your, who was your boyfriend at the time?
Yeah.
Did you tell him? Were you like,
I did.
Was he excited?
He was going to Fresno State, living with roommates.
Yeah.
It was a complete shock. He was like,
whoa.
Yeah, hold up.
Hold up. You're like, we did the thing, man.
Speechless. Like,
this is how it works.
Yeah. I was still living at home with my mom. And
how did your mom react? Was she like...
The way I told her is I remember coming home. She was sitting in the living room.
Terrifying.
And I went in the living room, sat on the couch, told her I'm pregnant, and took off running to my room.
I'm pregnant. Later.
I closed the door and I just waited. And then I could hear, like, get back in here.
Did she even know you were, like, having sex? Like, did she even know?
I don't think
what
so.
What a bomb, girl.
Yeah.
You Nagasaki drew your mama. Oh, and then you have the nerve to leave the room. That is so funny.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Wow. And it was just like...
Was she mad at you? Was she like... Did she shame? Was it shame?
No. I think she was still in complete shock, but she didn't shame me. It was more like, when did you find out? You know,
just
what
like...
do you do?
What do you want to do? Yeah.
But again, my age, different generation. I don't know. Yeah. But the first thing out of her mouth though was, "You're gonna need to pay rent." That was one of the first things, you know. But,
so she was about the business. She was like, "Well, you're an adult. You're making big girl decisions."
I was like, "Hold up, wait a minute.
Be ready to pay this rent."
That was not in my.
I didn't think that was gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got pregnant, I was also 9. I was 18, turning 19, actually. Okay. My birthday was in like a month. And I remember I was actually hanging out with my mom when I was like I wasn't feeling good and my boobs were hurting. And I said it out loud, like, my boobs hurt. She was like, "Are you pregnant?" Like, that was the first thing she asked. And I was like, "I don't think so. Am I pregnant?" And then I was like trying to think about when my last period was, and so she went and she got me these tests from Walmart. Okay. I was very shocked by her participation in the whole thing. Like, she was very like, and my mom, like, growing up, we were like super, super, super Christian, like, very like, Bible study. You know what I mean? So I just wasn't expecting that. Yes. But she came home with the test and she brought 2. She's like, "Yeah, take more than one." And she took them out. And she told me to take the test, and I took one and it was positive, and I was like. No, I took the second one, it was positive.
Oh, wow.
And then I came out and I was like, and she was like, "Oh, baby." Wow. She just came and gave me a hug. And she was like, "Whatever you want to do, I'm here for you. I'm going to support you." That's exactly how she said it. I thought she was going to be like, "You have to keep the baby. Right. And why have to be so careless?
Right.
And I told you about birth control." And you know, and it's like, nah, she was just like, "Whatever you want to do."
That's good.
And that made me... just to say the words, "whatever you want to do." Yes. That just made me feel like I was safe.
Yes.
And I chose to have guys. That's right. And girl, I was gonna go to college. I had all these things I was
plans,
gonna do.
Right?
And it's just like, I was gonna break up with my boyfriend at the time, and then I was like, "Well, I guess we're gonna have a baby." Then I was like, "Well, I don't want my baby to not have a dad."
Right. You go through all that.
So then I stayed with him, even though like. That needed to be done, even if I was pregnant.
Yeah. I get you.
Man, so many mistakes.
I feel you on that one.
You know? Yeah. Like, that's a whole topic on its own. I feel like that would take like 3 hours to talk about. Just like,
that'd be a future topic.
Being careful who you have kids with. You know what I mean?
Choose wisely.
Because I remember like I was dating Alex, and I was like, "Well, if I got pregnant, that would be fine because I love you." It's like, oh girl. And I really did love him, but like...
Right. You know... We're still learning what love is.
We don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I am.
Right.
Yet. Like, I don't have a good relationship with me or you.
Right.
And now I'm trying to bring this...
I was just saying, I think I was telling my son and my coworkers, and I was like, looking back, or I tell my kids now, pay attention to how that person you're choosing is with their family, with their friends. Pay attention to their relationships, not their past intimate sexual relationships, their whole relationships, father, mother, siblings, friends. Pay attention to that, you know?
Yeah.
How do they act when they get mad at them or angry with them? Or you got to
Or does he have a good relationship with them? Because I think that's a whole red flag in itself.
How is that relationship? If it's bad, why is it bad?
Yeah.
You know?
And why? And if you have issues with everybody, why?
Why?
Because you're the common denominator there. That's something I started to learn too, where it was like, even with myself, it's like, wait a minute, okay, I got beef with everybody in my family. Everybody don't like you. Everybody's out to get you. Like, come on now.
Right.
Something's going on. You're not asking the right questions, or you're not being honest with yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on and on. But okay, we will keep it moving. Did we do this one? Yes. We talked about age gaps a little bit. Well, we can talk about age gaps. Like, what was that like having? How much of a year difference between
the first and last?
Yeah.
14 years and 10 years. That it was actually good.
How was that on your actual body? Because to have a baby and then not have any babies and then be like, hey, guess what?
Yeah,
we're about to do it again.
Because I had the first one so young, 19. I was still relatively young, but body wise, I had other health issues. So getting pregnant with Eric, my last child, was a blessing because I had the fibroids, I had the cysts, I had late 20s, I had surgeries to remove those fibroids and cysts.
And are those invasive? They're opening you up?
Oh, mine were all inside my uterus and some outside my uterus. So you have really bad periods, irregular periods. I mean, a whole host of things.
Swollen kind of?
Yes.
Right there?
Multiple ones, sizes of grapefruits, small watermelons, some were smaller.
So then he really was a blessing then. Were they saying that it was
So I had a surgery, I want to say around 28, 29, to have them removed. I was too young. Of course, they didn't want to do a hysterectomy. They threw all that out there. I was too young. So we just had the surgery to remove them. Then I remember the doctor saying, well, do you want any more kids? And I was like, oh, yeah, I do. I'm still young. I think I at least want one or two more. So he said, okay, I'll give you, then we will hold off on doing anything more invasive or permanent.
Okay. So removing
having a hysterectomy. So it took about 2.5 years to get pregnant with Eric. Because the fibroids, they come back.
And that was intentional?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So you were trying to get pregnant too.
Yeah.
You had that whole experience. Well, keep going. But
yeah.
I was supposed to bring a pad and pen. I'll circle back to that. I want to hear about that experience.
And that's also another good topic to talk about maybe in the future is those cystic fibroids and how Black women alone are treated when they go to their doctors about that. Because I was put off. I was told there wasn't a real issue.
Why don't they believe us though?
Yeah. Because mine was weird. Mine started with severe back pain. And I was just going to the bathroom every 30 minutes, nonstop around the clock, waking up. They ran tests, and I remember the doctor was like, we're not going to do anything. You're too young. Da-da-da-da.
You're like,
it wasn't until, that was with Kaiser. It wasn't until I left Kaiser at my next open enrollment. I left Kaiser, went to another doctor. The first visit, he sent me to do an ultrasound. This is in the beginning when I first found out I had cysts and fibroids. Sent me to immediately to have an ultrasound and whatnot. A week later, I was having surgery. He said this should have been done a long time ago.
And you're like, I've been saying.
Right. I knew there was something wrong.
It's that same thing. I told them.
Yeah.
I said it. Yeah. That's so frustrating. It's like you're getting gaslit by people who you're supposed to be trusting with your
Exactly.
body and your health.
Exactly.
And it's like,
Stay adamant.
I don't feel safe, bro. Advocate for yourself.
Advocate all the time. If you feel
Because-
nothing's, if you're not getting any answers, seek somebody else. Seek a second opinion. Switch doctors if you have to.
It's just also some of the what would I call it? Like when it's like condescending comments,
Yeah.
like try to stay calm, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay,
Right.
sir.
Right.
Okay, I've been saying these things for like hours, but like in regards to giving birth, like I've been saying this for hours. Like no one's responding to me. Now I am angry,
Right.
and I have a right to be. I'm not like a angry black woman unhinged.
Exactly.
It's just like control that black woman.
Yes,
like,
yes,
whoa, man.
Yes. Or, I'm the doctor. I know what but you're not in my body.
And you're not.
You don't feel what
You're not
I'm
listening
feeling.
to me.
Right.
It's like
right.
you're not even taking the time to like really hear what I'm trying to tell you is
Right.
happening. You're just immediately like
No
telling me to
compassion.
shush.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Because it's like on to the next one. Boop, boop. Next,
Yeah.
next. But yeah. So that happened. I get pregnant finally 2.5 years later. And Eric ends up being a high risk pregnancy because I also have hypertension, high risk pregnancy.
so
I also
high-risk
still have the
pregnancy-
cyst and the fibroids. They all came back.
Ew. Like while you were pregnant or like
yeah.
after?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So what was? Oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you. Well, I'm like, I gotta type it in. What was that? God, where do I start? What was that like?
It was. I ended up.
Because that's like super high risk.
Yeah, I was super high risk. They took me off for work when I was only 4 months pregnant. 4.5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Took me off work.
They told you to stay in the bed.
I was supposed to be on bed rest,
What were you doing?
but I had 2 other kids, and even though
That is such a
Daddy was at home too,
was
it
he
was
doing?
mostly put on me, getting them to school, picking them up.
And you're supposed to be in the
and I was
bed,
supposed to be on bed
and you're
rest.
being mom, mom to the
And I'm
rescue.
still being mom. I do what I got to do.
Dude.
And I ended up being placed in the hospital. So I was in the hospital
And
for
how
almost
pregnant
a
were you at
month
this point?
before he was born.
Okay.
Oh
Well,
my gosh, good question. He
yeah.
was,
How far along were you when you were like officially hospitalized?
I want to say like 6 months.
You're not even that
I want to
pregnant
say
at
my
that
6th
point.
month or 7th month.
So was that like that had
Because
to
I was
have,
placed in, I was put in the hospital.
Mhm.
I was in there for almost a month, and then he was born 7 weeks early.
7 weeks early.
So I was put in pretty early, put in the hospital pretty early. So he was born 7 weeks early.
So were you scared that like he wasn't gonna make it? Like imagine like when you're 6 months, like you just
Yeah.
found out if it's a boy or a girl. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Especially, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that is
It was
insane.
it was hard. It was hard being in the hospital a month. Again, treatment. Everybody, your family, they're working. They gotta work. So most of the day you're by yourself. Everybody's working. It was really hard. So we were just me and my
Lonely.
baby. So I would talk to him and be like, "Look,
It's me and you, homeboy.
we're getting out of here together. Together, we're gonna do this." I would talk to him, sing to him, read to him. Like, we're getting out of here. I don't care what it takes. But it was scary because I think at one point, because my blood pressure got so high, they were checking me around the clock every 2 hours, around the clock, whether I was sleeping or not. So then they started giving me stuff to sleep. So yeah, around the clock, every day, the whole time I was in there. And I remember crying. I had 2 doctors, my regular doctor and a high-risk doctor. So they would come and check up on me, but I remember my blood pressure was just not coming down. So they were like, we're gonna have to. So we waited. They gave me all the medication to make sure his lungs were formed. Once that medication was in, they checked his lungs. Everything looked good, and then I had to go in because it got to a point where it's basically I might not survive, but the baby might, or we both,
Like,
it's like you don't want to have that like conversation where their dad would have to choose.
I was gonna say, like, you
Yeah.
had that moment where you were like,
Yeah.
and what did you say? Like, choose the baby?
It was hard.
A lot of people feel differently about it. Some people
No,
feel like,
and I'm gonna
choose
be
me,
honest.
man. So
And
you're
I'm
like,
gonna be honest. It was hard because part of me was like,
we could have another baby. We could try.
part of me was like, only it
Or-
was both. It was both because I was stuck. No, I
God.
want the baby to have a life, but then I was like, but I don't want you raising my kids.
Shit.
I would just be real.
That's
No,
I feel
you know,
Yeah.
So that's why I just stuck to prayer, and I just knew we were both gonna get out of there. I just knew we were both gonna get out of there.
That's so much. Like, there's already so many traumatizing things happening to you when you're giving birth, and for that to also just be this looming thing, and the whole time you were pregnant, it was turbulent as fuck and like super high risk and stressful, and just there's no moment of like,
no.
oh my gosh.
No.
So you had that baby then?
Yes, I did.
You did that.
Yes, I did. He was only in the NICU for 2 weeks. Thank God. Thank God.
And so, in the NICU, was it just like waiting for his lungs to get like stronger?
Waiting for his lungs to get stronger. Waiting for him to gain another 1.5 pounds.
Okay.
Before they would reach, he was 3 pounds 9 ounces. Mm-hmm. They wanted him to at least reach 4 or more before
like letting him go.
Let him go home. And then even when he reached 4, they needed to make sure he could keep his food down. Yeah.
And so you weren't breastfeeding then?
No.
Did you breastfeed any of your kids?
I tried. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How was that?
No, it didn't work.
You didn't like it, or it just didn't?
No,
work?
I liked it, but it didn't work. I wasn't producing enough. Yeah. I wasn't producing enough.
That happens to a lot of people. One of my friends too. Like, it's just like she really wanted to, and she waited till the last minute to switch to formula too, and it was like. Yeah. It like made her mad, and she had a hard time. I know it's like
it was hard because you want those bonding.
Yeah,
that's bonding.
And then I think also that comes with a lot of things that people are like judging you for no reason. So they see you pull out formula, and we're like,
right.
It's like, girl, bye. Okay, is he eating?
Right. He's healthy.
He's
eating.
Fed,
yeah,
like,
that's all that matters. You don't know my journey.
You really don't. You're telling me all these things, and I remember you told me some of this stuff before, but I'm just like amazed at your story, and I've been amazed by everybody's story so far. The people who are coming on here.
It's been a lot. Then to even further that, going further, I had to go back in 4 months later for that hysterectomy. Wow. So I had to have a hysterectomy when I was only 34 years old.
And so your periods, like all of that is just done?
That's the best part. But yes, but still at 34, that was hard.
What's that feel like for you? Did you almost feel like something was taken from you? Like you didn't get to be
I felt, like I felt my choice was taken at 34, And that's why I say to any woman, as in particular Black women too, but any woman, when it comes to your health, your female health, when you are dealing with cysts or fibroids, endometriosis, anything like that, really be adamant. Do your own research. Because after the fact, I've talked to other women, Black women, and there are other things I probably could have done.
Preventative
to
things?
Prevent it, from having to have a hysterectomy so early in age. Some people at 34, they're like, you're done anyway. You're getting up there. You had your kids. The point is, my choice was taken.
Yeah, if she wanted to, now she absolutely can't.
My choice was taken.
Before,
and if I could have prevented it or prolonged it, or
waited until a little
I
bit
would
later.
have. I would have. Yeah. So, definitely. But I do have my baby.
You have your baby. That was what I was going to say too. I was like, but you have some amazing kids, man. And they're all doing pretty good right now.
They're all doing good.
One of them you said was homeschooled for a minute. Tell me a little bit about that. I know he was kind of like, you said there was I'll just let you tell me, but just about like the homeschooling experience. Like,
how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
So my son is 16. He's a junior in high school. but this actually goes back to seventh, eighth grade, where he was severely bullied. Teachers, his father and I, we show up. We're those kind of parents. What's but nothing was done. Counselors promised they would do something. Teachers promised they would look out.
Yeah.
And I said, and that was with Fresno Unified. Nothing against all schools under Fresno Unified, but that was at Fresno Unified.
But they can do better.
They could definitely do better. And be there for your kids. Let me just say that. Show up for your kids.
Yeah.
Listen to your kids. And take to heart what they're telling you. So nothing was done. So we pulled him out then. And he was doing homeschool then. And he thrived because he literally went from being on honor roll to F because of it.
Too much.
It was just too much, overwhelming. So fast forward now, that affects a child. And so that turned into anxiety and depression. And it just became harder and harder. And even more recently, he was diagnosed with ADHD. And it's hard as a parent because you're like, did I miss it? Could I have helped him sooner?
Yeah.
Because you don't know the signs. Because people think, or I did, ADHD as a child. Oh, they're hyper,
And that it presents itself that way sometimes.
Right. And that's not always the case. And
sometimes they're really introverted and they keep to themselves
and that
certain patterns.
That's it. Yeah. He was a reader. He kept to himself, and I just thought he loves to read. Oh, you know what I mean? And that's why he's smart. He's a little bookworm. You just read it, But yeah, and looking back, I'm like, I see it now. And so he wanted to go back to high school. He wanted to be involved again and get out there, and it just became really, really hard because with ADHD, with what he has, your mind is just constant. You're constantly thinking, you're constantly stressing, you're constantly...
Anxiety, dude.
And that anxiety. Feeling like, oh my gosh, you hear people laughing and talking. Are they laughing and talking about me?
Yep.
And they may not be.
But this voice is like,
right.
Nobody
right.
wants you here.
And it's hard to concentrate, especially with the noise and the chatter,
Stimulation,
right.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I feel for him because he wants that,
So
he
he's
wants
powering
to be involved.
through.
He's trying. So it's a little bit of both on campus, but right now he's home. Get therapy for your kids.
Get therapy for your kids, bro.
And get therapy for yourself if you have to.
Get therapy for yourself, bro. I'm so glad you're saying all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be an advocate for your child. And I find a lot of people say, "Oh, you'll be all right. Just go to school. Say something. Stand up for." They don't think like that. It's hard. And don't push your child to do that. Don't push your child to do what you think you would have done or something.
Projection.
Yeah,
that's really hard for parents, I think, too. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like, and I don't think it should be this way, but I think people think, oh, this is my kid. I have a second chance now. For all the things that I didn't do right, you gonna do right, because you have me to tell you.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of pressure to put on a small child.
But we don't know that because as our job as parents, we are supposed to direct them and guide them. Yeah.
And it's like the best you could be is me. You could be me. That's the best you could be. It's like, let them be themselves.
Right.
Let them be their weird selves, figure it out. And I think it's really important that you just don't make them feel more alone than they already feel.
Exactly.
And
that's right.
That was my experience. I feel like I felt really alone, like I didn't belong anywhere at school, anywhere with friends, and I was also severely bullied all growing up. Just loud, the only black girl in the really, really white school, lots of different things are going on. but then to go home and then also be told the same things kids at school are saying. So it was like one I got a lot was like, there's something wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Why are you so loud?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
Sit down. Shh, be quiet. Those things are like the things that kind of play back. And it's like, my stepdad was literally like, oh, there's something wrong with her. Like, let's take her to the doctor. They were like, oh, well, that's what it is. She has ADHD. And then they were like, well, let's just give her some medication. And they just gave me a bunch of this medication that's basically like crazy drugs for kids.
It is.
And I was like a zombie, and I lost a lot of weight, and I wasn't eating.
Yes.
And I was like, I had the shakes. I felt like I was like, and like I'm somebody, I was doing drama and singing, and I couldn't do any of those things because I was all stuck. And I'm like, actually, there was a lot of things going on that was more than just ADHD, and I wish somebody would have been like, oh, these are signs of like some emotional and other kinds of abuse.
Right.
She needs
other trauma.
She needs a therapist. Is what she needs.
Right.
But I think, oh my gosh, as far as like being Black is concerned, like, especially if you're more old school, they like, you know, my mom would have never been like, oh, let's get my daughter in therapy.
Yeah. It's not talked
about. It's not a good look.
We don't know what's like.
We don't need no therapy.
Yeah.
You know,
better straighten up.
And I think for a lot of Black people, like, their only chance to get therapy is if it's like court ordered. Or like, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
And then they're like, actually, I just realized I'm like bipolar. Yeah. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
I never knew that about, you know what I mean?
And
it's like, well, because like, no one's telling you to take care of like your head and your heart. But I don't think it's possible to be a good parent if you don't get your shit together. You know what I mean? Right. At least some of it, because you're gonna pass it down.
Right on down. And it's crazy that you said that, because I look in my research and helping my son, I was like, Denina, you had ADHD too. I think you still have it. And I'm like,
this sounds like me. Wait.
Oh, like, wait a minute. Because I was lit. I'm like, Eric, I go, what do you mean? I go, well, look at my desk. And I'm like, I have sticky notes everywhere. Sticky notes everywhere. And I go, I have 4 notebooks for work. Why do I need 4? I start something here, and then I'm gonna go over here, and I start it over here again. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try it this way. I'm gonna try it this way.
Neurodivergent.
And I'm like, just little bit. I'm like,
You're like, oh, I guess I am.
And the noise, I would always ask to be moved. It's too much over here, or I have to put my headphones on. Like, and it's like we don't know what to look for. Because in a lot of Black families,
no one's talking about it.
No one's talking about it. The teachers and the community sure is not helping us.
That was something
get right. And I'm sorry, but I learned that with my son in his school system, and a lot of people are, you don't want to bring the race card, but no. Because
the race card, bro.
If I'm there, if I'm making calls, if I'm showing up, if I'm telling you my son is A, B, and C, and he's being bullied, and you're not doing nothing, then I have a problem. Yeah. Because you probably would do it for somebody else. This other child.
There would be this whole thing. Yeah, there would be an assembly.
Yeah.
And they would have an assembly about zero tolerance.
Exactly. So, like, when it first started, they said, we'll call your son in a couple times a week, or we'll check in with him and just have conversation with him. I let 2 weeks go by. My son didn't know they were supposed to do this. I said, hey, is it help to call you in? No, I don't know. I don't even know what you look like.
They just want to appease the parents. Yeah. Be like, we're handling it, so you get off their backs, but they don't care. And it just isn't fair.
Right.
Something that also bothered me, too, growing up was like, I still do engage in, like, attention-seeking behaviors. So, like, I have a big, loud personality. I like to be funny and make people laugh. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And, like, that's just part of, I, like, kind of have more control over it now. But as a kid, it's like, that shows up as, like, not sitting still in class.
Right.
And, like, oh, pick me. Oh, I know the answer.
Right.
Oh.
And when you like, talk.
I be talking, girl. And then they're like, your friends are trying to learn. And it's like, well, I'm trying to learn. And so things that were like signs of more other things going on at home were looked at as like, oh, she's just a little wild black girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nobody like, even
Yeah.
when I like started going towards like junior high and I got really depressed, and I was like presenting in these really dark ways that were kind of concerning to teachers. Even then, it was almost just like,
Wow.
I don't know, like, you know, I wasn't
Wow.
treated with the same like,
Yes.
and it's really frustrating because I'm like,
Let's help her. Let's take her in. Let's have a conversation.
Well,
let's
and
see. Yeah.
to make
You
it
don't get
worse
that.
is I work in childcare, and we have to do mandated reporter trainings every year
Wow.
where they talk in depth about the signs of like sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, things going on in the home, signs to look out for. And I'm like, bro, I had every year we do these trainings and I get triggered and re-triggered and I have to stop. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh Lord, we got to do these damn sexual trauma trainings, and it's a little too close to home for me, right? But I'm watching, I'm like, bro, they're all right here. This is like me as a child, like right here.
That's
in
what I
this
used to say.
training.
Aren't these teachers,
So shame on
counselors,
them.
they're trained to notice
Shame
this.
on you.
Yeah. They're trained to
You
notice this.
overlooked it, and I mean, and it's like, oh, the race card, and it's like, no, race card.
Yeah,
I'm calling it, bro.
Is.
Like,
yeah, I could legitimately say that in my case.
Insane.
It is.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because it's like, why does my kid's experience not matter as much as somebody else's? And I mean, I think a lot of moms feel the same way about that kind of stuff. They want to fight somebody. I'd be ready to fight somebody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I told my son, I said, I will fight some kids.
I almost fought.
Who said that? Who did that?
Why would they do that? I'm talking to some parents. Like, I'm like, where's your parents?
Yeah.
Let's go find them.
I tried.
You have a
they
person
stopped
for a
that.
child.
I want a meeting. Bring their parents in. Let's have a meeting. And I even told the counselors at the school, I said, how do you know that the child is doing the bullying, that there's nothing going on at home with him? So let's have a meeting, you know? Or I would say, have you talked to that child?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something going on. Maybe in their home.
Kids.
We don't do that. We don't have meetings like that. Da, 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 da.
You
know?
should.
And it's like,
You should.
what is going on in these schools?
They just care about
You know?
academics, you know?
Yeah. Academics and money. And the money that comes into the schools.
Achievement, academics. So, I mean, they're not just staff to, like, cater to an individual's emotional experience. So, like, he's fine. Everybody gets bullied at high school. And you're like, no. Right. He doesn't even process information the same way everybody else does. Like, this is a lot on him.
Exactly.
And you just pay attention to me. Yeah. It's that same thing, though. It's like, what is it about being black and people not listening to you? They just don't listen to you. Yeah. And then when you finally get mad because they've been telling you to be quiet, now you're being, like, out of control. Yeah. It's the same. Right. I'm like, I'm sensing a theme here. You know, I feel it. Was there anything else you wanted to share before I move on? I didn't want to. No. Okay.
What's next? Throw it at me.
Well, we talked about giving birth. Okay. This is a deep one.
Oh.
You ready to go? I'm like, this is a deep one. We've been deep the whole time. We'll lighten it up.
Okay. All right.
Okay. If you could go back to 10-year-old Denina and give her one piece of advice, what would it be? I gave her this a little bit before we started.
Yeah.
So she might be
this one's going to get to me. Wow.
And it could be like general too, so that you don't feel so much pressure at first.
It's just because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and about things that I've gone through and how it relates back to my childhood and how it's affecting me today. And I would tell my 10-year-old self that you are worthy. That hurts to say.
It hurts to say?
Yeah.
Why does that hurt to say? Because is it hard to believe still?
You got me with this one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes it is. Because sometimes our, how should I say, the people that you expect to be there for you or should be there for you and they're not, it messes you up, you know. It really messes you up.
Like the people who are supposed to protect you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know.
I feel that.
So whether it's your parents, in my case, my ex-husband, uh, you know, just people who are supposed to be there for you. And it's like, wow, you know, I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good person. I know I have a good heart. Because I work hard at doing that, you know. And so it makes you think like, why, you know? What is it about me? Did I, you know?
I fucking feel that so deep. That's crazy.
Woo, she got me.
But, what is it about me that is like attracting? What is it?
Right. And so even now, I've been single for a long time. Mm-hmm. You know, try the dating. You think it's going well. And then that triggers me too because I get, you know, I'm not ready. You know, you hear the things and it's like, but you just said I'm a good woman. So, you know, so it's kind of, so it just makes me think about, okay, you know, what is it about me? Even though I know I'm a good person, and even though I know as far as the dating part, that just wasn't the right person for me. Mm-hmm. But it still triggers to those that should have been there for me, you know.
You're like, why did you just like abandon me and leave me there?
Right.
You know, like I didn't fucking matter, bro. Like,
right. Didn't you see me? Didn't you hear me? Did you hear me cry? Did you hear me? Because I'm very vocal. I'll tell you what I want, what I need, what's hurting me, because I like to talk. And so I'm gonna tell you. And so, like I would tell my ex, so because I'm verbalizing it to you, you're making a choice not to.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what hurts.
It's like you saw me hurting. You saw me.
You
saw me saying please, and you like stepped over me and like left me there.
Right.
Fuck you. Right. It's anger.
Right. Or in all aspects, I came home hurting. You know, but you weren't there to protect me. So I think that's what I would tell myself because I didn't hear. It's crazy because when I think about when I was growing up and then in my marriage, I didn't hear you're beautiful, you know, you're this, you're smart, I didn't hear that growing up. And I still didn't hear it in my relationship. You know?
It probably you didn't even notice it.
And because it was normal to me.
Like, I don't know, man, nobody tells me I'm beautiful.
Right.
It's like, well, you are.
And it's like, yeah, so. Yeah, I would go back and say, you know, you're worthy of all that you want, all that you desire.
Feel that in my gut, yeah.
And it will all come to fruition. That's what I would tell my 10-year-old self. Yeah.
Your 10-year-old self would be like, what?
What?
Okay, let me get up here. Like, let me write this down. Wait, say it again.
Walk with your head high because you are worthy. So that's what I would say.
Ooh, walk with your head high because you are worthy. Wow. Could you imagine being 10?
Man.
And here, and like you just get off, you Back to the Future yourself, and you get off the DeLorean and you're like, hey, I'm you from the future.
Right.
I got a couple things to tell you. I don't have a lot of time. Okay, be quiet. Listen to my words. Write this down. iPhones.
Yes.
Create the iPhone.
Yeah. No. Right.
Make millions of dollars.
Walk in rooms and command attention. You know. So.
Walk in rooms and command attention.
That's right.
That's beautiful. And I think, honestly, I would be telling myself around the same thing at the last mommy meetup. I told you before we started, but my answer was that not everything grown-ups say to you is the truth. Because I just feel like I took on a lot of storylines about myself that were not true because of people that were trying to make me small. And then I stayed small for a really long time. And but I think I would say the same thing to myself because it's like, I mean, if you could imagine, I was even more loud than I am now as a child, and I was like a lot like my son actually, just very like, wow, and like, hey, I'm smart, I know things, I have all this information. It's like nobody asks you just walk up and start talking to a stranger. Yes. You're loud in class, you're still learning, like you're absorbing everything, but you just can't sit
right
still.
Yeah.
And then like thriving when you're singing and you're doing those things, and like as I started to go through like grade school, I call it my light. That light was like getting, smaller. Yes. And then by the time I was like out of high school, it was gone. I couldn't like write music or do any of those things I was really good at anymore, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think I would go back and be like, keep your light on, dude. That's right. Keep it on. Don't let nobody take that light from you, girl. And now I'm like, this is mine, bitch. You can't have this. I could be sad today. You can make me feel bad about myself. I put a lot of weight on other people's opinions of me a lot. But at the end of the day, I have my light. And fuck you.
That's right.
I feel.
That's right. Try to put it out.
With love. I'm sorry. I don't want anybody mad at me. But like, fuck you. And I say that with the most compassion.
You gotta be yourself. Yeah. It's crazy you say. I used to say sometimes I gotta cuss the devil out. You know, sometimes I'm just being real, and I will be in my room and I'll cuss the devil out. Try to get me. You know, try to get me.
You ain't gonna take my joy.
You're not taking it away. Yeah, it took me too long to find it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still growing through some things. I always say growing, just like you know.
You never arrive at your full.
You're never right. We're always growing and learning.
And that's depressing sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
When I stop and I'm like, it's like you're climbing Mount Everest, and then you're like, whoa, look how far. Shit.
Yeah.
And you just look up and there's so much more mountain. And
another obstacle. Like, yeah.
But then you look back and you're like, well, damn, though. Right. We came so far.
Right.
Fuck that shit. Like, let's just keep going, you know? And it's knowing that it's like a mountain that it's never going to end. That's life.
It is life.
Life is a mountain that never ends.
Life. It is life. But you know what I pray about now? Even though I pray because there's still obstacles, they're still growing, but I pray to be at peace while doing it. That's my prayer now.
To just be okay with the ups and downs.
Yeah.
And wherever it
Give me a
takes
peace. Give me a peace because I still know there's joy around me. And I'm not saying that's where I'm at now. I'm working towards that. That's my prayer so that I can find that peace. You know, I want to find that peace that no matter what I go through, I know I can come back to that peace and know there's still joy around me, whether it's with family, my kids, my friends, those that I love.
And that's what gratitude is, right? It's like,
thank you.
You're finding
gratitude.
You're finding that joy in those little tiny moments.
That's it.
And taking them where they come. Yeah. Because if there's one thing that's for certain, it's that life is gonna like
throw stuff.
But man, it's just gonna wow. Sometimes I feel like I wake up and it's like
it is.
I'm just taking it all day, and I'm still being expected to like burp a baby and like take people to school. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it just never
stops. How it is as a mom. We still got to get up. We still got to clothe them, feed them, while we're still.
And then you're like, do I need to be doing more crunches? Like, I don't look like this chick does on Instagram. Maybe I should delete the app. Like, I don't like what this is doing for my soul. Like, all those things, too, are also happening.
Right.
That was good. I really loved your answer. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. It felt good.
And there's so much wisdom, like, oozing from you. I'm like, I should be taking notes. I love hearing like moms that have been through it that, you know, I mean, you have grandbabies.
Yes. I'm a grandbaby. I'm a grandma.
She's a grandma, which really quick. You just became a grandma.
Just my first grandbaby. My little girl. She's 6 months. Yeah, she's beautiful.
So cute. She was at the wedding.
Yeah.
I was like, I was really lit. I was like, baby.
Yeah, but, she is beautiful. She is beautiful. People are always like, yeah, how does it feel? I'm like, you know what? I earned that. You know, I put in the work to become a grandma. I love my baby.
And your son, he's a good daddy?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're probably so proud.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know what that's gonna look like.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Is like you have these babies, right? You're like holding them. They're like small and brown, and they have their little chunky legs. And then like you blink,
Yes.
and they're like married
Yes.
and like having kids.
Yeah.
And now
It's a
he's
lot.
learning all these things, and you're
Right.
like, I remember when I learned that. You know?
It was at your wedding actually, and I was sitting back watching them, and I was like even Darian, like just taking it all in. It's like, wow, you
'Cause
know,
he was the baby, like you
because
remember?
yeah, and it's like this is crazy. This is what we hope for. You know what I mean? It was just real. I can't even explain it. It was surreal because over here I'm seeing my nephew get married, you know, and knowing what they've been. And then I see my son, and I just watched, like, you know, I was just sitting back looking at my family,
You're like,
period.
look at us.
And I was like, look at it, you know, like it was beautiful. Yeah.
And something I really enjoyed about the wedding too was that I don't have a lot of like family, but my friends were there, and I really felt like all the energies of like everybody we love kind of like come together in this kind of crazy way.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's just something that I'll always kind of keep right here because it was very special, and I had a lot of that feeling too, even just having Uncle Ronnie and Uncle Kevin and Dakota, like everybody, like we all took a shot before we went out. Like when they introduced the bridal party, we were all back there, and I think Evelyn was back there.
Yeah.
I think she took a shot too, and I was just like, wow, look at us! Like they were taking a shot with my sister and my best friend,
all together,
and it's just like
all one.
the blending of our worlds. And I was like, all of these people, at least for my family, like, you know, there's pictures of them over there. We're all kids. It's like, dude, look at us.
And look at
you guys look all fly in your cool outfits.
They did.
Everybody looks so good.
They sure did.
And it was that same kind of thing where I was like, look at us, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even my mom, like, I'm just, yeah, just having that moment and being like, whoa. Like, and my mom never got like married like that. Like, I don't think she was ever in a wedding dress. She never had that. So I wanted that because I was like, man, I want that.
Yeah.
I want to wear the dress. I want to do the thing.
Right.
So for nothing else, I was happy that I got to do that, and that I was like in my dress, and I looked at my mom, and she was like, "You look so pretty," and I was like, "Thank you." Okay, let's go.
Right.
You know, it's special.
It was special, and even everything that you grew through, you know, and you're here, and look what.
And I feel very much like you do about like I'm growing through it. Like I'm in no means anywhere where I would like to be yet.
Right.
But the me from even 5 years ago would be like, damn girl, look at you. You know, like I have some stories, and we might have to save them for another episode, but like I was going through things that I didn't see myself like having like anybody love me. If that makes sense. I know that's really sad. I had already had a tire too.
No, I completely understand because, like I just stated, you know, those are still some things that I'm even working through. Even now.
And I was like, man, like,
you know,
why would anybody love me? Like, you know, and even when Darian was like, why? Like, don't say that about yourself. Like, but I mean, I'm like loud and like, I know everybody thinks I'm annoying all the time. It's like, I think you're annoying, but you're my annoying person.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Somebody's accepting you for all of you.
Yeah.
And that is, I didn't think I was going to get that because I didn't grow up with that. I didn't know what that looked like. I've never seen an example of it. I've never seen anyone besides, like my sister and her marriage, they're actually really cute. But like, besides that, like I haven't really seen any marriage between two people where they accept each other for their everything and are kind to each other. Yeah. Like kindness. Right. Really. That was like the thing I loved the most about your nephew was like that he was just nice. Yeah. He was fine.
Yeah. That part.
He's hella fine. But you know, it's just that he was
my nephew. No.
And he was raised really well. You know what I
Right,
mean? He's just a gentleman, naturally.
A true gentleman. Yes, he is.
You're hearing it.
Yes,
He really is. Some people be like, my husband's the best. And then it's like, no, girl.
He really is. He really, truly is.
And that's crazy. So, I mean, yeah. How would the 10-year-old Denina feel about the you we see right now? I mean, I guess we kind of talked about it already.
Yeah.
But yeah. Would you be proud?
I am proud.
Is this where you thought you would be at the age you are?
No. That's a whole nother topic too. But because I have been through some things.
Nigger.
Some things.
Yeah.
But no, I honestly think there's still some things that I need to work through. Mm-hmm. And I think I've always put myself last. And I think I'm finally realizing right now that I need to put myself first. That I could still put myself first while helping my children. I need to put myself first, or they're not going to have me. You know what I mean?
Save yourself.
Right. And I mean mentally too, not just physically. I mean my mental self. Me quitting my job. I quit a job, being there 20 plus years, for my own mental sanity.
She was like, no more, bro. I'm out of here.
The treatment was horrible. So I said, yeah, I'm good. And you have to be okay and know that it's okay to walk away from that. People feel like they're stuck in something. Don't ever feel like you're stuck, because you're never stuck. There's always a choice. And I'm just now realizing that.
I think it's just the guilt of making the choice, and then, because every choice has the pros and the cons.
Right.
So then it's like,
every choice has a consequence.
You're just always stuck on the cons only, though.
Exactly. And then we don't do anything out of that fear. And then we realize years have gone by and you're miserable when you could have changed. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so I was like, and it's crazy. I don't even know what my next step is, but I feel good. I feel good because I finally made a choice for me. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that 10-year-old girl looking at me now would say, same thing. Keep your head up. You're worthy. And you walk in rooms with your head held high. You keep your head up, because what's meant for you is coming for you. And I know that. I believe that now. It took me a while, but I believe that now.
I feel like that should be on a quote wall somewhere. Like, what's meant for you is coming for you.
It's coming for you.
Yeah.
You might have to make some detours.
And it might not be in the packaging you thought it was going to be.
I was just going to say that. It might not be in that part. Might not be in the packaging you thought it was going to be. Be open
to what it's going to be.
Open to receive.
That's so good.
And
that's something I've been like super into, like manifestation and like my like vision board and my I've been super into it. I was like watching Oprah's interviews that she was talking about like vision boards and why they're super important. And she was talking about I don't want to lose my train of thought. Okay, what were you just saying?
Being open to receive.
Yeah, being open to receive. She was saying, okay, so you have to like make an intention, visualize what that looks like, start walking and living your life every single day as if you are already that idealized version of yourself, and be open and willing to accept whatever that looks like, because it might not be like what exactly you think it's going to be. Mm-hmm. So if you've always wanted to be like, you wanted to perform, you're like, I'm a performer, I need to be in front of people doing stuff, right? And I'm finding this is happening for me currently. I told myself I was going to be like on Disney Channel. Like I wanted to be like, you're watching Disney Channel. And be like, I wanted like my own thing. I practiced it in the mirror, like seriously. Or I thought I was going to be on Broadway for a while in high school. And I still kind of project those like dreams onto my vision board. So I walk around like Like I am a famous person. You know what I mean? But I'm realizing that I'm getting that in a different way. Like I want to make an impact on people, but I think right now it's coming to me through this podcast and through my mommy group and through the connections I'm making with other people right now.
Yeah.
And conversations like the ones that we're having right now. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what I would have thought. I wanted to be Hannah Montana.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, okay, universe, I got you. Like, let me just take
that's
this.
true.
And I just so happen to be majoring in communications. Like, I just feel like I decided to major in communications because I was like, I like to write and I like to talk. And then I decided to create this mommy group. And then I was like, I have to do a podcast.
And now that book. And then a book in the future. No, seriously.
That sounds so scary.
Be open and receptive.
It's gonna unfold how it's going to, but if it's for you, it's yours.
Right.
No one can take it from you. It's your destiny. Like, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the surrender part, and then also
could be the
like,
hard part.
And then what? Like making the decision to make changes. Like you made it really. I'm sure it was hard to finally decide.
Yeah, very hard.
To walk away from your job.
Very hard. Yeah.
But I mean, how do you feel right
now?
I
don't feel good. I do. She really woke up in a good mood. I feel like there was a huge just weight that was just taken off of me. Yeah, I do. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Even at this stage, don't let age stop you either. Don't let age stop you.
Don't let age stop you.
Don't be like, I should have been doing this at 25 and I'm supposed to be here at 32. And
there's no
don't let age stop you. And I mean from whatever. Job, love, travel, business, career. Write that book.
You write the book.
I know.
she go write a book.
Thing. She writes poetry. I write poetry. I want to write a book.
She was like, I wanted to do a talk show back when.
Oh my gosh. Old school. I wanted to be on the radio. Have my own little late night radio talk show. Talk about, all kind of topics. But yes, do it. Don't let age stop you. So yeah. Okay. Keep going.
I know it is hard. I think a lot of imposter syndrome is going on. So it's like where it's like, oh no, but like I'm not qualified. And who do I think I am? And like, calm down. You're not the voice of the people. Like I've been telling myself that, like, you are not the voice of all moms.
No.
Sit down.
No.
It's like, I don't know.
And starting a podcast doesn't come from who's qualified and who isn't. It comes from having an open heart, something to say, and allowing other people to voice what they want to say. That's it. And in that time, you realize that you're helping people.
You're learning about people.
And you're learning, and you're growing. That's what a podcast is supposed to do. So, that's it.
That was so good. I mean, I don't even think we should say anything else. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having you on the show. I would love to have you back on again.
Anytime.
If you're down.
I'm down. This was fun. I was nervous, but it was fun.
Okay, yeah. So something I did last time where I was like, okay, how did you feel when you walked in? And how do you feel now?
Super nervous when I walked in. I think I was shaking on the way over here.
Really?
No, yeah, I was. And now I feel good.
You feel really good?
I do. No, I feel it helped me. If that makes sense.
Right?
Yes.
Like healing.
It was very healing. I feel it helped me. Yeah. So thank you. I love it. I'll be back anytime.
Okay.
I hope I helped somebody out there.
Oh, I'm sure of
it.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
This has been Mo Mommies Mo Problems, the podcast destination for all things maternal, and I guess we're gonna thank you for listening to our episode of Mo Mommies Mo Problems. See you later. Bye.